for a couple of seconds to start the show tonight because incredible game going on right now. Yeah, if you're not watching, we'll keep you up to date. But the Kansas State leads Michigan State 96-93 with 12.5 to go. Michigan has the ball. Michigan State has the ball, and they just hit it. Kansas State just hit it. Masood hit a 3-pointer from the corner, and Kansas State was leading prior to then. Big night for Keontae Johnson. We'll catch up on that, but boy, we're going to sit here with you for a second to watch this last few ticks of this game, and things are happening all over the place. By the way, Arkansas getting clobbered by UConn tonight. So we'll sit here for a second while we start the show. We got some breaking news on football that you Gator fans probably don't want to know about, but we'll see what happens here. And Michigan with the ball, takes a 3-pointer. No, it didn't. Ball knocked out of the hands. And time has expired, and Kansas State makes a bucket at the end. My goodness. Kansas State upsets Michigan. What a night. Let's go get the show started, folks. Crazy stuff going on already. Stand by. I'm Buddy Martin, and I'm back. Stay tuned.
It's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Hello, welcome to a crazy night. Buddy Martin, I'm back. Thank you for all the comments and questions on Facebook. And we were out yesterday, had a little procedure at the hospital. Everything is good, and a lot's going on right here. Boy, oh boy, what a game we just saw. I caught the tail end of it, and Kyle Curtis called me or told me on the phone, "You're watching this game?" I said, "No, I turned it on to see the last few minutes and last few ticks of it." And K-State advances past Michigan. Wow, what a game. We'll do the commercial. We'll come right back. We have lots to talk about tonight, and not all of it you're going to like, Gator fans. I'm sorry to tell you, but this word from Titan MRI.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, thanks very much, Jeff Cardoza. Sorry for the distractions, but we had to catch the end of that game. It was remarkable. Again, K-State advances, beating Michigan, and two big shots at the end. We'll go to Kyle Curtis and let him update you on that. Plus, first of all, this news. This is somewhat distressing for Gator fans. The guy we thought would be the next great lineman transferred in here from, was it Pennsylvania? Where was it? I've forgotten. Sends a tweet out tonight saying, "Appreciate Coach Napier and his staff, but I feel it's best for me to put myself back in the portal." Now, I won't even get into some of the comments on his Twitter account, not made by him, but other people, which are insulting, by the way. I don't have any idea if they're related or not. But, hey, it's a transfer portal. This kind of stuff happens. Let's go to the guy who's breaking the story for Gator Bait right now. You can go on and check it out. Our own Kyle Curtis joins the program. Kyle, good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
First of all, what a finish.
Crazy game. crazy game, and it's always good to see Keontae. I came into the tournament, we didn't have a lot to cheer for with no Gators, so I started pulling for Kansas State all the way, and it's cool, seeing Keontae do what he's doing over there.
What, score 18?
Uh, what'd you say?
How many did he score?
I think he had 18, but the 5'8" point guard I think had 18 points, 18 assists. I mean,
that
that's
guy's
just
amazing.
crazy.
He's crazy.
Yeah.
Correct. And then Masood hit that shot at the end, the 3-point. That was a backbreaker killer. And what a clutch shot. They're quite the story right now, I'll say that. Quite the story. Wildcats are. So let's go to the subject at hand here and talk about stuff going on, and that is not good news. There was a surprise announcement tonight, and Florida losing its prized possession from the portal. I can't pronounce his last name. He wasn't here long. Makuza, I guess it is. Mike Makuza, and he was projected to be plug a big hole at right guard, and we already were hearing great reports about him, and now he announces he's leaving. Your story is up. I just read it on Gator Bait, talking about, why don't you tell them what you wrote?
Well, first things first, so happy that you're back and so happy that you're doing well. I know a lot of praise were answered, so
yes.
Glad that your health is always first. But yeah, no, Micah Mazkua, a lot of people thought that, this was going to be the Osiris Torrance of this class, one of the most sought after, not even lineman transfers, but transfers in kind of the whole nation. This was a guy who was rated by Pro Football Focus over at Baylor as one of the best pass blocking linemen in the nation, and also one of the best run blocking, which is massive in that Billy Napier scheme. And there was already going to be a big hole that was going to needed to be filled with Osiris Torrance leaving. So, this was kind of just really unexpected. And, it's a little bit kind of shocking almost, just because this isn't a guy who I think that was going to be having a hard time fighting for playing time. I mean, he started mostly all of his games over at Baylor. He was taking first team reps at left tackle. When Rob Sale was talking Tuesday at the press conference, or last Thursday after spring practice, he was, praising him, saying how much, he just picks up stuff and is able to just show up to work every day and, handle his business. So, looking forward to the future. Richie Leonard, the junior, I think could maybe step in. Cameron Waits, he's coming off an Achilles injury, which hurts even more now that, we're losing probably the biggest part of our offensive line. But I would also expect, Billy Napier to be active in that when the portal opens back up May 1st.
Yeah, that's one I just didn't see coming. Of course, I'm not that close to the team. You go to practices, you talk to them, but it seemed like all was going well. The offensive line was gelling. Rob Sale was very optimistic in his comments a couple of weeks ago. They had their 5 picked out. At least they thought they did, and they were pretty sure that Mazkua was going to be one of their studs. And we can only guess, and we're not going to do that. People are guessing, well, did he get hurt, or was it something racial, or whatever? And we don't know what it was. Don't have to know why, but because people want to leave, go to another school. Maybe he got a great NIL deal somewhere. Who knows? I don't know. But he's out of here.
New era of college football. The transfer portal, NIL era. You can never. You always got to be on your toes, especially as journalists.
Yeah, and you got there are different cultures. I mean, sometimes it takes a little bit of a time to adjust if you're not from around here, as they say. Anyway, it's going to be the era of the transfer portal. We're going to see this happening more and more. It won't be the last time. Sometimes you win them and sometimes you lose them. Your story talks about, your story says, according to offensive line coach and offensive coordinator Rob Sale, Mazkua had shown great maturity and a high football IQ with the ability to grasp concepts quickly. Pro Football Focus had graded Mazkua as a number 41 offensive guard in terms of pass blocking, with only 1 sack and 11 pressures. He was also rated as one of the top guards overall in the college football PFL. So good job reporting by you. Thanks for bringing that to our attention, and thanks for catching me up real quick on the March Madness and the big win by the Wildcats over Michigan State. What a game! Good job, my friend. You keep it going, and we'll talk to you soon. All right.
Of course. Talk to you soon. I'm glad you're feeling better, buddy.
Thanks a lot, Kyle. It means a lot to me. I appreciate it. Kyle Curtis, checking in. All right. It's time to do this real quick, and then we're going to go talk to Ben Troop in the house. Got the link and everything. Time to catch up with our friend Jeffrey Melton, who's always got his shirt tail in the wind doing stuff, and meanwhile, celebrating milestones. Jeffrey, first of all, hello and welcome back, and congratulations. You've got a big milestone coming up for your Scholar Athlete program, 25 years.
Yes, buddy, we're really excited. We started in 1997 with Larry Vittel, who had the Sports Scene show. And after a couple of years, TV20 called us, and we joined up with them and got even greater exposure. And we've now given away over 650 scholarships to local scholar athletes in Marion County, Alachua County, and all the adjoining counties.
I know you're proud of that. And by the way, I remember Larry Vittel. We worked together for a number of years. I guess he's up in New York now. Let's talk about what you're doing with Meldon Law. I want to remind people that they do practice law at Meldon Law, because sometimes you have so many things going on, whether you're trying out for the band or you're doing the Dancing with the Stars or whatever. We forget to tell them you are in business and you do practice law. Let's get that straight. And I got a number here, which I know is good from Ocala, and presumably Ocala, Gainesville, 352-629-5700. Let's talk about the fact that you are litigators as well.
Yes. I show up every morning at the office, by the way, and I have my desk, full of stuff, and I walk around the office and collaborate with all the attorneys and folks here. So we've really grown, buddy. It's a great story because we've grown from 12 people on our team to 32 people in a period of 6 years. So,
all right, there you go. Meldon Law, growing, looking out for you. They got your back. They won't back down. Meldon Law. Check them out on their website to give away stuff. Let's go to the star of the show. He's got his hat on tonight in honor of my return, I know. And he's got plenty to say. I thought about him today as I was writing my column about positivity, because this guy is about as positive as they come. My good buddy, Ben Troop. What's up, Troopster?
What's going on, buddy, man? I second everybody that, I'm happy that, I saw you picture in the hospital, man. I'm happy that you're doing well. I'm happy that the procedure went well. And, obviously, you taking care of your health is the main thing. But, anytime I can be around Buddy Martin, man. I mean, Rod Brown, Rod Brown does not go – every time Rod Brown had me on the show, he finds a way to talk about Buddy Martin every time. But I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the fact that, man, you made a big impact on on us media personalities out here, man. But I'm always happy that you are doing well. And I like how you said, listen, man, I'm fine. The procedure's good. I will see y'all on the show tonight.
There you go. And by the way, there's no truth to the rumor I had a brain transplant. Okay? That's not true. It was not a brain transplant. My brain was fine. I'm doing good. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me, Ben. Everybody, thank you so much. I don't want to make this show about me, because it's not, because there's plenty to talk about. But it is heartwarming to have so many people that you care about. And in this show and on Gator Bay, it's a family, as you know. And the people we work with, I can't tell you, when things like Lauren's, mom passing and you calling Lauren, that meant the world to him, and it means the world to me that you guys checked in on me and the kind words. And so thank you very much. And yes, I'm going to be around for a while, I guess, to deal with Buddy. So there you go.
That's what we want. That's what we, I mean, and unfortunately, you know how like when somebody gets sick, or the passing of Lauren Meadows' mother, may she rest in paradise, man. Obviously, my condolences still to Lauren. Sometimes, buddy, you know, the hustle and bustle of life, it's not that people don't want to reach out to you or see how you doing. It's just, you know, just everyday life. But when something happens, you don't realize how many people reach out to you, or you didn't realize how many people, you know, cared about you like that. So sometimes it's just an eye opener to be like, and obviously with the Gator Bait and, you know, Buddy Martin show and, you know, Orange and Blue Sunday, it's like you don't realize it. And then, like I said, with social media, man, your family grows through social media. So, hey, man, it was good. And listen, when I saw you in the you know, in the hospital bed with the thumbs up, I like, all right, buddy, because my dad said it's not so much when people get sick, you don't want to take away who they are, like their personality, their energy. So I like, hey, man, buddy said he gonna be on the show. I'm gonna be on the show. I don't know what Franz is tonight. He's probably out there terrorizing somebody.
He's coming. Yeah, he's coming.
So it's you know, Thursdays become like somebody told me when I first got into sports media. They said, Ben, you have to be ready to be a part of people's lives because you are. You know, and obviously, you know, just from commentating and talking about the games and what may have you. So I take pride in that stuff. I mean, a really, really good friend of mine, Titus Peoples, who's from Swainsboro, played against him. He played at Arkansas. Two Swainsboro boys playing in the SEC. Does life get any better than that?
Wow. And
he called me tonight and he said, hey, Truth, man, I need some motivation, man. And we just going back and forth like we normally do. And he got a friend of his on the phone. He talking about, see, I said, man, you got to tell me what people on the, not that I'm going to change up what I'm saying, but the Buddy Martin show to me is bigger than us talking about football. Man, you get to be a part of something bigger than yourself. You know, guys don't need no reason to talk sports, but this gives us a reason every Thursday night to come in here. But when Lauren mother's pass and you in the hospital, you figure out it becomes bigger than this. So, hey, man, I'm happy that you're back.
Man,
tell the missus that I said I'm always praying for her.
I appreciate
and like I said, man, you know, y'all are part of the fam. Y'all are part of the fam.
Ben, that means the world to me. I appreciate it very much. And I know people are getting sick of it, going, But I just got to say, you're right. It is a special. France has got some good news going on. I don't think you can announce it tonight. Some exciting things are about to happen in Gator Bait. We have a great group of people. I know a couple of more people I want to bring on, and it's just so much you want to do with this Gator Bait, you know. And I'm just saying the Lord has blessed us. So there you go, and so it's a brotherhood. And by the way, Lauren came up to see me in the hospital, and came in to where I was in the recovery room.
Well, he wanted. No. Lauren does. I said that tonight.
Yeah.
Lauren, when somebody means something to you, they want to see your face. And it's not that they don't trust the doctors or what, but sometimes they say, I just want to see him or her. I just want to see him because it's a mental thing for us. I said, man, I just want to see him, and I just want to see him. And when Lauren saw you, he was like, all right, it's all Betty, but it's fine. I will see him tonight. Everything is good.
Yeah, he did. And one more thing is that he came in, he had the scrubs on and had a hat and a mask. He says, you know who this is? I went, that's Coach Meadows right there, you know. He came over and grabbed me by the arm, and the nurse is watching, and so we're talking. And he said to the nurse, you don't know this, but this is my father. And she looked at me and looked at him and thought, what's going on here? I said, no, he's not really. He's my younger brother. That's what he is. So anyway, all right. So my man, I hate this fact. I feel such a positive mood. I wrote a really positive column tonight, which I really liked, and a lot of people have texted me about it, talked about it. It's about the mood that you have to have and why hope is important. Even though Monday night, David Moulton and I had it wasn't a serious little sparring match because of what was said. And what happened was I said to David, who I have a great deal of respect for, who does the show usually on Wednesday nights, but was on Wednesday on Tuesday because I had to go to the hospital. So he came on, and I said to him, well, what have you heard about Gator football? And I said, how Graham Mertz is doing. Anyway, he poo-pooed me, like, who cares? You know, basically. And he said, look, I'm not gonna make any comments on anybody in March. And he said, he said, the only thing I'm gonna say is that they have an injury. The rest of it doesn't matter. They went 6-7. People are tired of it. I said, David, look, this is what we live around, we talk about, and we had a little dust up about it, And he mocked me and said, "Oh yeah, I'm Buddy Martin. The Gators are great. I love you." I'm like, they're one of those numbers. I said, okay, you say what you want to say, but I still have this theory, and about how I see things. I think there's an opportunity. I know you think I'm a homer, and he made fun of me. So I wrote a column today, and I talked about that. I talked about the opposite of that with my great friend Norman Vincent Peale, who I knew quite well, who wrote a great book called Power of Positive Thinking. And Randy Briggs wrote a really great note about why it matters. I mean, it's brilliant. Randy Briggs and I used it, and he talked about, hey, he said, we want to know. His column, the column says, right, quotes him as saying, it's like our children, the Gators. Our children, they do bad, they do good, and and we get mad at them, and and they make mistakes, and we bring them back and do it again. But we love them, and we'll never quit on them. And he said, that's how I feel about the Gators. So I thought Randy's comments were brilliant, and that's the column. And I thought, well, I got a good positive column, and then I get this news, which is not good. Appreciate Coach Napier and his staff, but I feel it's best for me to put myself back in the portal. Micah Mazkua. Now, I know you feel like, well, that's the way it is, and whatever is to be, and God bless him and Godspeed. And I get that. But it stings a little bit, doesn't it, Ben?
It does. I'm not gonna sit here and make it seem as if it doesn't sting. But I have to always, shed light on the fact that when you come to the University of Florida, you come in, regardless of what the record says, regardless of what the team did, you are still at one of the best universities in the country with some of the best players in the country. And sometimes, buddy, it ain't a match made in heaven. It takes being here to see the speed, the pace, the demand, the expectations, and it ain't for everybody. Now, listen, I'm not coming at Michael. I wish him nothing but the best. But, buddy, it's 85 guys, scholarship guys on a football team. There are guys who come to practice every day, lift every day, do everything the right way, and they never play. So I understand that guys are looking to be in the best possible position to go out there and play. So I get it. It's disappointing. But I will say this. Billy Napier has been coaching way too long to dwell on it. He ain't got time to dwell on it. He don't got time to dwell in it. Look, man, I'm trying to get this team ready for the spring, to then come back for the summer, to then come back for the fall, to get ready for the regular season. It sucks. I'm not trying to act like it don't, buddy. But, buddy, you know how this game is, man. It is not listen, the game will give you what you give it. It is not a match made in heaven. It's not always a win-win. When I saw the news, I was like, but unfortunately, like I said, he's not. I hope he's the only one in Florida, but we're gonna see this throughout the spring too. It's not good.
Yeah, I know. You're right.
Florida, it is disappointing, but I think that's the world we live in now, and that's the hardest thing of a head coach is not getting talent; it's retaining it. And unfortunately, it's hard to retain talent, man. Well, a lot of these guys got 4 and 5 stars attached to their names, and they're thinking about their career after college to hopefully have one. So, Michael, man, hey, man, we would love to have had you, but hey, man, unfortunately, you got to move on, buddy. It is a spring because I'm hearing a lot of great things from this new defensive coordinator we got. I mean, I know it's spring and all news is positive, but I'm just looking. Listen, I treat it just like an injury. I'm only worrying about the people who are here because, unfortunately, if you're not here, man, you can't help the club anyway. You can't help the ball club.
Very true. Preach on, brother. We need to have a sermon. We need to have a troop sermon. Yeah, so meanwhile, I was kind of jacked up about Corey Raymond's press conference this week and what he did, and I really like how he's going about his business. He now has a new back end. He's got this defensive back, Miguel Mitchell, who apparently is repping as a starter. But he's playing in a different position. He was playing star, but and he went to in place with Therese Johnson. But Jaden Hill has made the move from cornerback to star, and so Jadarian Perkins replaced Johnson in 2023. Mitchell, meanwhile, worked on the starting defense as a safety. So you got new safeties there. I kind of like that. It's time for some fresh blood back there at safety. That's been a trouble position, and now that I think that Corey Raymond, who's I like his philosophy and I like the way he talks and things, is there, and he's got who he wants at safety and some good corners. Now we have to find out about the front seven and see what they can do. And I even like what Austin Armstrong, how he's talking about it. He explained the creeper defense about as good as anybody, which despite France, I've never been able to understand. But the way he explained it, and multiple looks and different looks for different teams up front. So is it been the combination of those calls, the front seven, who's the edge rushers, bringing pressure, plus the secondary? That's got to be one cohesive thing, so they act as a unit, even though they're kind of separate. Am I getting this right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look at any back end, you guarantee if the back end is solid, it's because them front seven are even better. Because the front seven, the front four in particular, their job is to make the quarterback make decisions quicker. That means the DBs have to cover; they don't have to cover as long, and that forces bad throws. That forces opportunities for the defense. Mitchell and Kamari Wilson, I think, two guys that's going to have to grow up a lot. I think that Jaden Hill, man, moving to the star. The thing about the new DC is he's young and energetic, meaning he's going, look, the personality of a defense is reflective of the defensive coordinator. And I'm not going to talk about Patrick Toney anymore. He's moved on, wishing nothing but the best. But what I'm saying is defensive players are supposed to be aggressive, but you only can be aggressive when you can play the scheme the right way. And this is how you play the scheme. Got to get off the field on third down. Princely and all those boys, you got to eat on third down. And the thing about Florida is this: Florida don't have to be the best defense. I mean this respectfully. They just can't be the worst. See, complimentary defense wins championships. It wins SEC East. It wins national. And I think what happens is, buddy, we've seen so many great defenses come through Florida. We comparing them to that. No. They don't got to be that. They don't got to be that. But, buddy, when it's third and long, you got to get off the field. When the ball is in the air, the DB's got to track the ball. Listen, what happened when we play USF, thank God we won. If it's 30-26 and they run the ball on third down, they get the first. That doesn't happen in no level of football now. So I think what happens with this defense is what you do in the spring, right? You give people, it's like the spring is like you can look at the spring as like a movie. Everybody's getting their role in this movie. Depending on how well you play your role will decide if you make it to the show in the fall. Because if you can't pick up the scheme with a defensive coordinator that's giving everybody a fresh start, because that's the great thing about new coaches is.
Yeah, that's true.
I know who the starters were, but Corey Raymond having one voice in that defensive backfield is huge. Because now you ain't have Toney coaching the safeties and Raymond coaching the cornerbacks. You got one guy. And let me tell you something. If you can't get better with a guy like Corey Raymond coaching you, I'm questioning your ability. He is not one of them. He is the best defensive coach in the country, and he have NFL.
I want you to preach, man. I give you applause.
I just know that for a person like
preach
myself,
on, brother. Preach on. Preach.
A person like myself who took 4 years to start. It took me 4 years to get it. College football is not about, having talent. Everybody has talent. You got to be able to hone your talent to fit these schemes. And the number one thing you have to do is buy in. The best teams, every last player buys it. I'm not saying, so when people go, what is Billy Napier doing with all these different things he had? He's trying to get the buy-in. Because what happens is you get guys to buy in, you playing within the confines of the scheme, that's when your talent can take over. If I'm playing within the scheme, like Coach Dwayne Dixon used to tell me this. He said, Troop, when we call a play, that's us. When you run the play, that's us. When you get that ball in your hand, that's you. See, you get to show us you when you get the ball in your hand. But until that happens, you got to play within the scheme. And that's all football is, man. I mean, Deion Sanders and the best players we ever seen, they play within the scheme and they let their talent take over. So I just think that I just think that this defense, right, with Princely and Big Dez and and company, if those guys don't come into the fall feeling disrespected because ain't nobody expecting them to do much, they got a shot to be really, really good, buddy, because just like I know. Yes, it is March. You ain't winning no championships in March. I get it. But I'm telling you, the fact that, the coach say, the DC say, man, we negotiate with a hammer. I like guys like that, man. I like guys who are unapologetic. And could you imagine, buddy, he was on the staff at Alabama, get a call from Billy Napier saying, I want you to be the defensive coordinator of Florida? He probably dropped the freaking phone. Like, what? And to me, you notice every time a coach come to Florida, they say the same thing. You at Florida, man. Like, are you serious? So, hey, sometimes, you've gotten used to the luxury, buddy. Maybe if you grew up in a mansion, I get it. But most of these boys ain't coming from no mansions. I know they got these nice facilities, but I think we're gonna be just fine. I love what I'm seeing. But buddy, just like I know, until it's real, it's gonna be a lot of favorable. Even going back to what you said, buddy, about the guy saying something negative about you, it ain't negativity, buddy. Everybody ain't gonna be on your side, but like I said, you got 20,000 beat writers now for Florida, and everybody got an opinion. The problem is they ain't Buddy Martin, they ain't Lauren Meadows, they ain't Franz Beard, and unfortunately, they got 270 characters, and can't nobody stop them because Twitter is free, and they gonna put their opinion out. So that's where we at. Everybody got an opinion now. Most of them don't mean nothing, but hey, man, Florida's one of those teams. I mean, Kansas State just beat freaking Michigan State. So, go figure with the Izzo got put out by Kansas State in the Sweet 16. Hey, man, I don't know who's going to win the championship this year. It might be Kansas State and Princeton for the national championship. Who knows? I don't know. It's crazy this year.
Well, you made me feel better already about losing the star offensive lineman, a transfer, and I'm sure you made Franz Beard feel better. Good sermon about Pastor Ben there, Franz. Good evening to you.
Well, I agree with one thing. Any Final Four that doesn't have a Big Ten team in it is a good Final Four. You realize now that...
Or Georgia.
You know what? Well, Georgia, in basketball, Georgia's got about as much chance of making it in basketball as Ben Troop has of flying a 747 with nothing but an owner's manual.
I think Ben could fly at 747. I believe he could.
Oh, I can fly at 747. Only problem is I'm going to wake up from that dream. It better not be in real life because that's my last flight. I'm going to say, listen, coming from the cockpit, if you were on this plane, you picked the wrong flight. I'm just telling you right.
Gotta be, flying it might not be the problem. Landing it, that could be the problem.
Listen, I don't know if he's still alive, but I'm gonna call Denzel
Sully.
Washington. I've seen Flight, right? And listen, man, I'm gonna call old boy that plays Sully. I'm gonna say, listen, man, how did you? I know it was a movie, but how did you land this plane on the Hudson? Because I gotta land this plane at a certain point. I'm gonna try to find me some water. I think I'm gonna do better over water than I'm gonna do on land. Because, hey, man, I'm trying to get these people back to safety.
All right, let's get fans to weigh in on Mike Makuza. Franz, you talked about him a lot tonight. It was announced he's going to the transfer portal. We're all surprised. I know you probably are too. Your thoughts, Franz?
It's funny because Edgar and I saw Austin Barber outside the facility. We were walking away from the press conference tonight, and it got mentioned, and he was surprised. I mean, he said that's a new one on me. Obviously, Makuza had practice that day. So, this may be one of these situations where you got a kid who's gotten upset with somebody or some coach or something, and he says something tonight, and tomorrow he's back in the coach's office saying, Coach, might have spoken a little bit too early. And we've never heard of anything like that happening, have we been? We've never heard of a player coming to a coach's office and saying, I might have spoken a little prematurely.
Oh yeah, it happens. Oh, trust me. I mean, the thing about the transfer portal that people don't want to talk about, Franz, is it's unforgiving, man. Like it's such a perception driven thing because you keep on thinking you got the same level of attraction. The most attractive you've ever been is when you're coming out. Now, if you were a productive player and you played a priority driven position, you might have a shot to make it back on another team. But this is the thing. I want you to look at some of these FCS rosters. They are littered with these big time players. Not because they had to go to a lower level. Just like I told my nephew is going to be a junior in high school, and like everybody, he wants to go to the biggest schools. I said, Josh, as your uncle, I love you. I said, but let me tell you something. You treat recruiting how you treat dating. You like the girl that likes you, not the one you like, the one that likes you back. Okay, because I think with the transfer portal, guys be thinking they got all these options. Phone ain't ringing like it used to. So I wish, like I said, I'm like you, friends. I'd rather humble myself, walk back into that coach's office, and say, Coach, I'm sorry. I got too big for my britches. I started smelling myself, and I get it. I go back out there. One, I'm going to have to apologize to the team. And two, I'm going to have to work myself up back at the depth chart. Because if I'm trying to build my resume, I don't think it get much better than Florida, man. I'm just saying, not saying that other places can't do it, but I mean, most of these teams trying to put their team together in the spring. You're going to go to a new team in the summer, learn a new scheme, and play in 2023. Hey, man, wish you nothing but the best with that. Sometimes, just listen, stop listening to your friends and your family and say, hey, I messed up, Coach. Please let me back on the team. Because, friends, you know how it is. As my granddaddy say, the last time I saw you was the last time I saw you. Didn't see you again. So we'll see what happens. But Florida going to run out 5 O-linemen when we get to Utah. Guaranteed first game of the year. No doubt about it.
Well, the one thing that it also may do is him leaving may just turn one of these big transfers into an inside guy. Austin Barber set at one tackle, and they've had Keontae Goodwin and the George kid from Alabama at that other tackle. Now George played some guard at Alabama.
I would think maybe George might step into that guard position. Would be my guess.
Well, he played there. You know, this is a guy that got 4 starts in his career. And he also played every ball game this past year. Played some guard, played some tackle. I think he was just looking for a place to go start because Alabama's so loaded up. So he could be a guard, and oh my gosh, if you think about that, you'd be 6'8", 353 at one tackle, and then at your right guard you would be 6'7" and 348, and then your center, a tiny guy, 6'3", 305, in Kingsley, and then you go over to the other side, and it's just going to be massive guys. I mean, I got to tell you, Austin Barber must feel kind of tiny himself. I mean, he's 6'6" and 320 pounds, and he's got to feel a little small next to these guys. So
he got to tell Shannon Snell, listen, Shannon, I know you got us the NIL deal on Thursday. I might have to come see you on Mondays too, man. But I'm only listen. I'm only eating barbecue sauce, potatoes, and bread. No meat. I don't need no protein. I just need a whole bunch of carbs. That's it.
Can you imagine Desmond Watson going to a Chinese buffet?
Listen. If they see Desmond Watson walking up
close.
to the Chinese buffet,
they close it.
They gonna put the clothes. No, the lady gonna say, "Whoa!" She gonna put the clothes sign in front of him, like they gonna say, "Desmond, listen, I love you, right? I root for the Gators, but we gonna give you. Listen, Desmond, you got to get yours to go. Right? We gonna give you yours.
There you go. All right, so guys, tonight I was all set to have a really positive, upbeat show because of what a wonderful week it's been. Many great things happening, not the least of which is my health, which I'm grateful for. We've had a little good fortune here and there. It's a little premature to talk about it yet, but Francis is going to have some great news down the pipeline, talking about some things that we're doing. Ben, I know you probably by now probably struck oil or something. By knowing you, you got something going on. But just feeling blessed and feeling good about, like you said earlier, and the hopes and the whole, the Colorado Road was all about, as I said, allowing yourself to have hope, which some people, and France, you heard the conversation by on Monday night of our friend David Bolton, who's a great guy and a really good announcer, but has a different viewpoint of things, friends, and said we cannot be talking about things in spring training about the Gators that are positive because it leads to false hope. Well, I get that. There's a certain element of truth in that. But in the end, if you look at what Billy Napier is saying out there on the trail right now, he had a strong speech apparently over in Brevard County. He talked about using players from Florida and more players from who understood the background of what it meant to be a Florida Gator, which we all think is great. And why? Because in my opinion, and I wrote this, is that you want to build that loyalty factor, the loyalty, and it comes better and easier from people who either grew up here or moved here and know what it means to be a Florida Gator. Ben didn't grow up here, but he soon learned about it. And if you have everybody from California or you recruit nationally, you're in danger of not having that, what I call territorial imperative. And I described it as territorial imperative means ever seen a dog behind a fence barking because the people were encroaching his property? You want to protect your home ground. Like Matumbo said, not in my house, right? Not in my house. That kind of mentality has got to be developed in Florida for the Gators to win. They've got to recruit better in 100-mile radius, which I think Billy's trying to do. In my mind, that's the future of Florida football. Now, guys, I'll throw it open to you. Am I right or wrong, France?
Well, people have to appreciate where they are, and there's nothing wrong with having hope. There is absolutely nothing wrong with having hope. I would rather be overhyped than no hype at all. I'd rather be looked at and say, boy, they were a bust last year. Did you see all the hype they got? Than to be one of these teams that got no hype and still was a bust. There's lots of ways to look at it, but I think that Florida has reason to be hopeful. Billy's pointed out, he said, look, we're doing saying the blueprint was set in 2018. And I've said that I've been saying that for months. What happened happened year one is a blueprint of what happened at Louisiana. What happens the next year is a blueprint at Louisiana is the blueprint for what's going to happen here. A lot of similarities in there. Not everything. It's years later, but guess what? People go with it, have plans, and I mean, let's face it. You think Nick Saban goes into a football room with all his coaches and say, "Gee, guys, anybody got an idea what we're going to do?" No, I mean, he's got a plan. He's got a purpose. You think Steve Spurrier ever took the field and said, "Well, boys, I ain't got an idea, so somebody come up with something here because I can't think of anything." Steve Spurrier knew what he was going to do when he walked out on that field. Now, it doesn't always work out that way, but it doesn't change the fact that you got to know what you're doing. And knowing what you're doing, I promise you, is the best way to build hope and to build momentum as well. Billy, I think Billy's going about it the right way. Now, does he go 7-5? Does he go 8-4? Does he do better than that? A lot of factors go in that too that you can't control. You can't control, for example, that maybe your best player or two has an injury in August, and all of a sudden, wow, whole team goes kaput because of that. You can't handle a Cam Newton deciding all of a sudden to toss the computer down into the dumpster down below when all he's got to do is turn it in, and he's exonerated of turn it in and say who he bought the hot computer from, and he's exonerated. Imagine if Cam Newton had stayed here with that team that they had in 2010. They had everything but the right quarterback.
Make a good point, Franz. And let's bring in our other partner, Lauren Meadows, talking about that, about the fact that, it's okay to have hope. I think you got to be realistic. Obviously, we know that. We're often accused of being sunshine pumpers. But as I was saying today, Ben, you can come on this, and Lauren, Billy is out there in the trail selling actually hope for the program and trying to bring in more kids who have some knowledge and background of Florida football. Is that a good idea, Ben?
Of course it is. I mean, I'll never understand this word false hope. Do people understand what college football is? Do people understand that, like, Shane Beamer and, Coach Stoops and those guys are going through the spring thinking that this is going to be the year they win the East? This is going to be year they take. No, most schools have never seen their team win anything. And they got the same expectations as Florida, as Georgia, as LSU, as Alabama. And we've never seen them win anything. South Carolina has won one conference title in South Carolina history, and that was when they was in the ACC. They've never won it in the SEC. So false hope when it come to football is all you got. Like, what do you think Billy Napier's supposed to say? Hey, man, we're going to go out here and do our best. We're going to go out here and hope for the best. DJ Lagway is the number one dual threat quarterback in the 2024. He was at practice, right? So I think that when it comes to a Florida, friends, buddy, Lauren, listeners, we've seen it. We've actually seen them at their best, right? Our Spurs' last two teams. We won the SEC my freshman year, went 10-3 my second year, and won the Orange Bowl. When it comes to Florida, no matter what, people expect us to get it done. And I got to say this to all you Georgia people, right? It took 40 years to do this. Now, you did it back to back. Could you imagine if Florida hasn't done anything in 40 years? And this is not to take a shot at Georgia, but think about it. South Carolina went 10-2 3 years in a row with Spurrier. They did not win the SEC. They went 10-2 3 years in a row with Gilmore and Alshon Jeffrey and Davion Clowney and Carter Shaw. All I'm saying is, our previous coach at Florida went to back-to-back New Year's Six bowls, and 2 years later he was fired. So when people talk about it's easy to come to Florida, no. He went to back-to-back New Year's Six bowls, won them, went to the Cotton Bowl with the B team, as he said, got beat up, lost to Missouri his fourth year, and Coach Eli Drink would come out and said, when he said, "May the force be with you," I said, "Oh yeah, he out of here. They getting rid of him." I'm telling people, man, it's rough in Florida. It's rough. So I like what Billy Napier is saying, but just like you say, buddy, he's gonna have to get it done because unfortunately, hey man, they don't pay you $7.1 million, man. They ain't doing the hardball. You ain't getting $1 million per win, and they ain't giving 10 years to win the Big Ten either. They ain't doing that over here. So we'll see, but I just think that false hope is people that don't know. I mean, they obviously don't really watch college football. If you take away hope in football, what the hell are we watching for? Like, what are we doing? You better have hope. You better have more than that. But that false hope stuff, I've never been a fan. I don't know what false hope is. Why? Because we're talking about what we expect Florida to do. Do you know that Vanderbilt has expectations to win because they beat Florida and Kentucky back-to-back games last year? People better get the hell up out of here, man. Talking about false hope, man. They better get up out of here with that nonsense. I'm just saying, Florida did not play well last year. We get it. We get it. Miami Hurricanes fans be talking trash to me. Y'all want to see. Anyway, they be talking trash like being Florida's not that good. Well, if Florida's not good, y'all better be lucky y'all got sandy beaches down there in Coral Gables because ain't nothing else going on down there. Ain't nothing else. I mean, Ed Reed left, and he ain't even become the head coach. You know what I'm saying? Adam Bethune. Anyway, Florida's going to be all right, man. Billy Napier knows that he won't get the same mulligan he got in 2022. That's not going to happen in 2023. You're going to have to find a way to be competitive in Jacksonville, pull a rabbit out of the hat, first game of the year, and you better be competing for the second in the East, bare minimum of 2023. That you can't do what you did this year, next year. That ain't gonna work.
Good sermon. All right, let's put Brooke on our partner, and he looks like he's tired. He's had a long week. We're including him in the conversation. Want to make sure we get in. First of all, Lauren, good evening, and weigh in on the Mike Makuza news. I saw your comment. You were shocked about it, like many of us were. What does that mean to you? What do you think? Ben has kind of gotten us past it. He's preached 3 sermons since he started, so he's gotten us up out of our seats, and we washed our souls, and we're ready to go on with the next phase. But let's get you to weigh in on that.
Where the collection play that?
Lauren, go ahead. Lauren, you're not. We can't hear you. You're not on. So try it again. Holler when you get it going again. Yeah, try it again. We lost Lauren. All right, so while we're waiting, we'll go back. Hit you up, friends. That quote. Here's Lauren. Let's see what you got him here. All right. I wonder why you're so quiet. Yeah, we got you now, Lauren. Lauren, we got you now. You got to turn your audio on. We don't have you. All right, turn your switch. We're not getting you. All right, Francois, until Lauren gets this audio working, I want to read this part of this quote to you that Billy said over in Brevard. He talks to, I say, you got a young man who knows the history, knows the tradition. Typically, there's a connection to the University of Florida. He's got to go back home to his hometown and deal with it, whether it's good or bad. So it's part of our philosophy, and it's one of the reasons why we signed so many kids from Florida this year, and I think we'll continue to do that. What do you think about that, France?
Well, there is not a real good reason to do most of your recruiting outside the state. You can find everything you need here. There's years when you may need to go out of state to get a couple offensive linemen because these things run in cycles. So one year you may have a run on big offensive tackles and defensive tackles. The next year might be a scant year, and you may be looking at the only thing you can find in Florida are wide receivers, running backs, and corners. These things run in cycles, but if you do your recruiting right, and as Urban Meyer once told me, he said, you don't ever look at one recruiting class and say, boy, that's it. What you do is you look at 3 recruiting classes, and how did your 3 recruiting classes do as far as a depth chart? Do you have holes in your depth chart after 3 recruiting classes? And he said, if you do, you're not recruiting the right way, because you better be sitting there and looking at having a 2 deep that's reasonably competent, that you can put out there, and your number 2 tackle is probably just about as good as your number 1, maybe lacking experience or whatever. And that's got to be the way to do it. There's no reason why you can't fill a depth chart with Florida guys. Now, as I said, you may